Letting number 8599. Airfield Maintenance De-icer Tanks, Lambert St. Louis International Airport. We have 3 bids. I'll be reading the alternate as well. ORF Construction, ORF Construction. Total base bid $426,787. 426,787.00. Alternate number 1, add $150,436. 150,436.00. Cosney Wagner Inc. KOZENY Wagner Inc. Total base bid $542,871. 542,871.00. Alternate number 1, add $140,650. 140,650.00. Deduct $135,000. Jackson Building Group, $479,000. Alternate number 1, add $140,000. 140,000.00. With the low bidder, please meet with Ms. Ben in the hallway. Thank you. If we have anyone here for the hearing and you're coming up to speak, could you please come and sign in, please? Yeah, the attorney is yours.
Okay. They'll all get a chance. Today, the board will conduct 2 conditional use permit revocation hearings pursuant to Section 26.100 .030 of the revised code of the City of St. Louis. The Office of the Zoning Administrator has the burden to prove the conditional use permit conditions have not been complied with. For each hearing, after all evidence of the zoning administrator has been presented, the board will ask for additional testimony, if any, in support of the revocation. Then the conditional use holder will be given the opportunity to present evidence. Lastly, the board will hear other testimony in opposition to the revocation, if any. As a reminder, your testimony is being recorded. When you come forward, please state your name and address and be sworn in. As you testify, please direct your comments to the board and not to those in the audience. Members of the audience are asked to remain silent and not coach the witness. During your testimony, members of the board may have questions for you. Following the hearings today, the board will proceed with its regular agenda. Following the conclusion of the agenda, the board will deliberate and vote on the hearings. The board will also notify the conditional use holders of its decision by mail. Hearing number 8183. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether the conditional use permit number 115557 issued to Six Star Market to occupy 8701 Riverview as a grocery store / carry-out restaurant with no liquor should be revoked. The condition in question are as follows. Item 2, the applicant shall provide a concealed commercial dumpster for which he will establish a trash removal contract through a private source, schedule for regular pickups, and maintain the entire premise in a clean and orderly appearance at all times. Item number 5, all signage must be applied for and approved by the Office of the Zoning Administrator. The Board of Public Service has in its possession the following documents which are being introduced into evidence. Item 1, a certified copy of the zoning code of the City of St. Louis. Item 2, the conditional use permit number 115557. Number 3, occupancy permit for 8701 Riverview. Item 4, the conditional use hearing record from June 4th, 2009 for this permit. Item 5, a copy of the memo from the zoning inspector stating that upon her inspection of the premise on or around July 27, 2015, the zoning inspector found violations of condition numbers 2 and 5. Item 6, a copy of a certified letter sent to the conditional use permit holder warning of the violations that were found at the July 27th site inspection and the potential for a revocation hearing should the violations not be corrected. Item 7, a copy of a memo from the zoning inspector stating that upon her reinspection of the premise on or around September 1st, 2015, violations of conditions 2 and 5 were still found. Item 8, a copy of a letter dated September 8th, 2015, stating that the letter dated July 28th, 2015, and the memo dated September 1st, 2015, were hand-delivered by the zoning inspector to Six Star Market. Item 9, a copy of a memo from the zoning inspector stating that upon her reinspection of the premise on or around October 15th, 2015, violations of conditions 2 and 5 were still found. Item 10, email dated October 19th, 2015 from the zoning administrator to the board secretary and counsel stating that a notice letter and inspection memo were hand delivered to the store as the July notice letter was sent certified, was never signed for, and therefore an additional inspection was conducted on October 15th. Item 11, copy of the public notice for both today's hearing and the originally scheduled hearing for December 8th, 2015. Item 12, a copy of an email sent from attorney for conditional use holder to the board's counsel requesting continuance of the hearing from December 8th, 2015. And item 13, a copy of a certified letter dated December 8th, 2015, sent to the conditional use permit holder and attorney giving notice for today's hearing. At this time, I would like to call the representative of the zoning administrator to please come forward and be sworn in.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. My name is Myra Turner, zoning inspector for the city of St. Louis, room 400, City Hall.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you please tell the board about the conditional violations that you found?
Yes, sir, I sure can. Sharice. Okay, on the initial inspection, it was found that they were in violation of condition number 2, which was about the trash dumpster, and condition number 5, which was about the signage. Received a call from a gentleman that said he had installed signs at the premises. I asked, did he have a permit? And he said that he did. He was from a company, he said. I don't have any information on that because he was supposed to forward that to me and I never received it. However, as of today, the trash dumpster is still not concealed. And on the violation number 5, the permits that are found in the computer are dated 9/23/09, and they stated that they were completed. However, I did not find any permit for signage after 9/1/2015, which they did put some signs up versus the banners that had been there. But I have not found any permits for it.
So we have a dumpster that is not concealed, and we have some signage that's not permitted.
Yes, sir.
Okay. As of today.
As of today.
Any questions from the board? Thank you very much. If there's anyone else in the audience who would like to speak in support of the revocation, please step forward at this time and be sworn in. Seeing none, the board asks that the conditional use permit holder please come forward and be sworn in.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you state your name for the board, please?
Corinne Brown. I am the attorney on behalf of Six Star Market. My address is 2001 South Big Bend Boulevard, St. Louis, Missouri 63117. I understand the requirement of an enclosed or concealed commercial dumpster. You know, that's a standard condition. However, given the size of the alley that abuts the property, concealing the dumpster is just not a possibility, and I do have photographs that I would like to present to the board. Here's a second set. If the dumpster were to be concealed, it's our position that traffic would not be able to get through the alley, and that the dump truck that we have, the garbage truck that we have picking up the trash would not be able to get through the alley. To my knowledge, there have been no complaints about the dumpster or the area. It's always kept in a clean and orderly state. The trash is always kept in and placed in the dumpster. There's never any debris around the dumpster. We've also spoken with Alderwoman Flowers, and she's very understanding about the situation. We just feel like there's no way to conceal the dumpster without impeding traffic and access to the alley. Regarding the signage, it's my understanding that any signage that has not been approved by the zoning administration has been taken down. That's my understanding. It was represented to me. Therefore, I would ask that you do not revoke the conditional use permit, but instead modify it to remove the concealment condition with the understanding that the area must remain clean at all times.
Okay. So as far as the dumpster goes, your comment is that you have a dumpster, you keep the premise in a neat and orderly fashion.
Yes, sir.
And the only reason it's not concealed is because it would be impossible to pick up and an obstruction to the alley.
That is correct.
Okay. As far as the signage goes, I'm not very clear. Do you understand that there's still some signage there that doesn't comply or you haven't had permitted yet?
That I thought that the signage that was not permitted was taken down. That was my understanding, but if that is not correct, I can make sure that the client removes all signage that has not been approved by the zoning administration. That won't be a problem, or that permits are applied for the.
Right. So would you have any problems with getting a permit for the signage that you currently have?
Sure, that shouldn't be a problem.
Does the board have any questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If there's anyone else present opposing this revocation that wishes to testify, please step forward and be sworn in.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name for the board, please?
Deion Flowers, Alderman, Second Ward. Good afternoon. This is a situation where I have my automatic hat and my family hat. This building belongs to my father, and I work in the barber shop 5 days a week with him part-time. Where this particular dumpster location, I can't speak to the sign, I don't know anything about the sign, but this particular dumpster location, we have a 6-foot fence along our perimeter of our rear of our property. Our dumpster is also in the alley. Some years ago, the resident behind asked to have me pave the alley. Upon that, I found that the resident encroached 8 feet into the alley, put up a fence. Trying to be good neighbor, good alderman, whatsoever, I did not take the property back from the resident, and we paved the alley. It is a very narrow alley. Where the dumpster is, it actually kind of keeps the traffic from being two-way. Because at this corner, Riverview and McLaren is a very, very busy corner. And a lot of people use this alley as a cut-through because they don't like the wait at the light. The people from Grape, which I live 4 houses from there, I live on Grape, use the alley to get to McLaren to get around the light. And people race up and down that alley. I have a bollard there behind the residence home near the garage, their entrance, because people continually hit their fence. And the other day, a tractor trailer tried to come through the alley, which I just didn't understand. They ruined the water lid there, and I had to get that fixed. It's narrow. If you did put a fence there, it would just probably continue to be hit. It's not, the fence is not going to keep the dumpster from rolling. It hasn't done that. It's not going to keep it from smelling. I'm always about the rules and the laws, and I don't like to make exceptions. But in this particular situation, if it wasn't my father's property and I wasn't so familiar with the traffic there, I would ask for consideration in this situation. I don't really know. I just think that if they put a fence there, the neighbor already complains about how loud the truck is and how early they come in the morning. If the trash man had to sit there, open a fence, dump the thing, get out, and lock the fence, that neighbor's just gonna be hotter as I don't know what. I got a lot of things going on in that corner. I got everything from drugs to just hanging out to it's just a lot going on there, and that neighbor puts up with a lot. So I don't want to get that call at 5 in the morning about the dump truck, and I just think that right now it kind of controls the traffic. But if you put a fence there, it's just gonna get hit. That's all. It's just gonna get hit.
Have you ever had any complaints about trash or debris around this business?
Not there, but in the front side, they have a person that cleans up once, should do it twice a day. Unfortunately, people just like to come out the store and just dump. They just throw it. And because it's on a very busy corner, the wind just we suffer from it at the barbershop. A lot of trash comes down our gangway, and but for the most part, they do try to keep it clean. With me being an alderman there, I am totally on their head all the time. Matter of fact, I was able to control the signs there. No cigarette signs, no crazy signs, no, you need just one sign. That's it. You don't need to go crazy. So, I have a real special, with my father there and dealing with him who's 77 years old and myself and trying to be a business person. It's it's kind of hard to juggle there. But in this situation, and I know they've been before you for the cigarette sales, I've been here for the property on Broadway. You all just looked at a property, I think last week on Broadway, which is called A&E. I mean, their dumpsters just sitting on the sidewalk. So I'm actually trying to get my capital improvement to put an apron in on the side of their building so that they can actually get a truck to not ruin the sidewalk, get the dumpster out of their property, and then dump it, because it shouldn't be on the city sidewalk. And they're just about as new or newer than this business, but that really didn't become a situation for them, which I thought was not acceptable. But anyhow, I don't have any pictures, and I took, I don't know if you can see this, but this is our dumpster in the alley, and this is our fence, and that's the neighbor's fence, and this is the very end of the alley. This is their dumpster right here, and I just don't think that it's going to really do any good. It actually keeps the people, the two-way traffic down so that they don't hit the neighbor's fence too. So in this situation, I'm just asking for consideration. I don't know anything about the sign. I have talked to the owner. I've actually talked to Mrs. Turner, very nice person. I encouraged the owner to contact Mrs. Turner, to have her come out and look at it. And, I'm trying my best to, you do what you got to do before I have to step in. I don't know if that happened, but I got a call last night, not from this attorney, from another attorney asking me to be here today. And I just couldn't get a letter together to say it better than I can actually say it. So.
Does the board have any questions for Alderwoman Flowers?
Yes, one quick one. Did you say the original encroachment was 8 feet?
I was told 8 feet. Now, I'm not a good gauge of distance. I think it is probably 6 feet, but I can't see where this person took 8 feet of the alley, because when you look at the property behind it, their fence line isn't too far in from where theirs is. So, this person had poured a patio pad of concrete, put up a fence, and I just didn't want to have to go through all that. I don't see it as 8 feet, but I was told it was
right.
6 to 8 feet.
I would think in a right-of-way alley, 8 feet would be significant to my
But you could
understanding.
tell that the alley is much smaller because the traffic has bowled all of the asphalt up like this on the sides, and I'm eventually have to get it paved, which, I was not happy about getting it paved because I don't want people to think I'm doing it for me, so that's why we put up the fence. People cut through our property to get through the alley. I mean, it's just, so when we put the fence up, it was the funniest thing in the world to see everybody go and back up. But you could just kind of see where the alley really is not enough width to even get the trash trucks in.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you.
The matter concerning hearing number 8183 is now closed and submitted. The board will now move on to hearing 8184. Hearing 8184. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether the conditional use permit issued to Renew and Refresh LLC CO Juanita Lobson to occupy 4100 Shenandoah as a resale shop with coffee bar and sidewalk seating subject to certain conditions should be revoked. The conditions in question are as follows. Item 2. The applicant shall establish a trash removal contract through a private source for which she will schedule for regular pickups and maintain that premise of the store in a clean and orderly appearance at all times. Item number 5. The applicant must apply for and receive a permit from the City of St. Louis Building Division before posting signage, and the signage must be approved by the Office of the Zoning Administrator. The Board of Public Service has in its possession the following documents which are being introduced into evidence. Item 1, a certified copy of the zoning code of the City of St. Louis. Item 2, the conditional use permit numbered 120017. Item 3, occupancy permit for 4100 Shenandoah. Item 4, the conditional use hearing record from November 21st, 2013 for this permit. Item 5, a copy of a memo from the zoning inspector stating that upon her inspection of the premise on or around October 2nd, 2015, the zoning inspector found violations of condition numbers 5 and 8. Item number 6, a copy of a certified letter sent to the conditional use permit holder warning of the violations that were found at the October 2nd site inspection and the potential for a revocation hearing should the violations not be corrected. Item 7, a copy of a memo from the zoning inspector stating that upon her reinspection of the premise on or around November 6, 2015, violations of conditions 2 and 5 were found. Item number 8, a copy of the public notices for today's hearing. And item number 9, a copy of a certified letter dated December 22, 2015, sent to the conditional use permit holder giving notice for today's hearing. The board asks the representative of the Office of the Zoning Administrator to please come forward and be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. My name is Myra Turner, zoning inspector for the city of St. Louis, room 400, City Hall.
Can you please tell the board about the conditions that are in violation?
With my initial inspection, they had violations of number 2, which is the trash dumpster, number 5, which is the signage, and then number 8, which was items displayed on the front of the property. Upon talking to one of the owners of the business, I was informed that the items that were out on the front of the building is actually a sitting area for their customers. So right now, as of today, they have gotten a permit for the one sign that you will see in the window, but they still do not have a dumpster regular contract to pick up the trash, and they still have some trash in their back gangway.
So just to be clear again, we still have a sign or signage that is not permitted?
No, they did get a sign. You have a copy of their permit for their sign.
So the signage is permitted?
The signage
And
is
so
permitted.
currently where we are is they do not have a dumpster?
That is
a
correct.
private. So do they currently use the city dumpster?
I don't have a clue about that. I just know that right now, some of the stuff that they have, if you look at the picture, is in the back of their building in a trash can right behind the building in the gangway.
Okay, so one condition. All right, any questions for the zoning inspector from the board? Seeing none, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify in support of this revocation? Please come forward and be sworn in. Seeing none, the board asks the conditional use permit holder to please come forward and be sworn in.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you state your name and address for the board?
My name is Brett Narayan. It's B-R-E-T, last name N-A-R-A-Y-A-N. My address is 7927 Forsyth. I'm the attorney in fact for Restituo. Of course, we are asking that you not revoke this permit. We understand that the city feels as if there was some signage that did not comply. We went ahead and got the permits to make sure that we were in compliance. We also understand that the city had some issues with a dumpster. Restituo has a contract with Thurman Grill and Provisions, which is another restaurant on that same block, in which they use Thurman's dumpster because Restituo is one of these newer kind of very green companies. They only produce about a bag of trash a week, and so they have contracted with Thurman Grill in order to put their bag of trash a week into the dumpster on 4069 Shenandoah in the rear. Aspen is the vendor there. Larry Wineless is the fellow over at Thurman Grill that we've spoken with in order to get this done. I'd like to give a little bit of the background here, though, to address some of our concerns with this moving forward. We feel that this hearing may be retaliatory. We filed a notice of intent to sue the city, and then about a week later, we we heard about these issues, never having spoken with the owner of the building, who is, or the building and the company in there, Restituo, who's consistently there 12 hours a day. Nobody spoke with her to address these concerns, and we know that there was some trash, as the inspector noticed. That trash was actually as a direct result of the water main break, which flooded Restituo. And so as we were in the cleanup process there, we filed the notice of intent to sue the city. Right away, there's inspectors coming out while we're still in the process of cleaning up and citing us for things, which is problematic on our end. We're just trying to get business done and to be an upstanding part of this community. And we also then, once we got these letters, we looked around in the direct area just around us in a 2-mile radius or so at many of the businesses there, and we found that many of them have signage without permits. Many of them do not have dumpsters. There's trash kind of strewn about all over the place, and we're kind of concerned that should this board move to revoke the permit, that it would seem retaliatory and arbitrary and capricious. And we really hope that that's not what's happening here today. I don't believe that it is. I think that you guys do a good job. You know what you're doing. And I hope that you'll see that Restituo is a great little coffee shop. It won the Riverfront Times award for the best coffee shop in St. Louis. And all they're trying to do is get back up on their feet after this water main break and get back to business as normal. So we would ask that you do not revoke this permit.
So it sounds like there was a violation of signage, and that has been resolved.
Yes, sir. And I have
the
application and the receipts and everything, if you'd like us to introduce that.
It sounds like from the discussion as far as the dumpster goes, there's a contract in place where the trash is taken.
Absolutely.
It sounds like the conditional use permit holder is cognizant that the area is supposed to be picked up and kept clean and so forth.
Absolutely, sir.
And we'll follow that, correct?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Would you be able to get some sort of confirming letter from Thurman Grill on the arrangement relating to?
I have one right here.
Okay, great.
Good point. I was going to ask the same.
We asked him to just put that together for us quickly before this hearing, and that's what we got.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
If there's anyone else present opposing this revocation that wishes to testify, please come forward and be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
State your name and address for the board, please.
Nicole McCormack, 4100 Shenandoah. I'm the owner of Restituo. And I just want to further note, too, that I do live upstairs, and in the middle of this break, I had been moving in and had also had a major dental surgery 3 days before her return inspection, in which case there was excessive trash in the gangway, but it is a private gangway, not very visible from the street, and gated. And if so, I'd be happy to even put up slats, but I do tend to take my recycle out there from my personal apartment, and it does sit for the day until the evening when I take the trash. I've even taken pictures of my trash in my business to show every day I produce like coffee grounds, eggshells, and a couple bags of bread. We do mostly breakfast sandwiches, and over 85% of my business is to go. I don't create a lot of trash, and most people eat all my food. So just wanted to add to that, and since it's my responsibility, and just to confirm that, yes, there has been excessive trash. It's been a very hard road since September the 18th. It flooded the entire basement. It removed me of almost $20,000 worth of personal and business items. It's been a long recovery.
Yeah.
So, and we are still at it, and I still haven't even fully moved into the apartment upstairs after 4 months. So thank you very much.
Any questions from the board? Thank you. The matter concerning hearing number 8184 is now closed and submitted. The board will proceed with this regular agenda. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie? Here. Director Rundy?
Here.
Oh, does she want to speak too as well?
Did you want to speak? Come forward.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you state your name and address for the board, please?
Jennifer Patterson, 4106 Shenandoah Avenue. Just briefly, I want to say I live in the residence right next door to the coffee shop. I'm a single mom with 2 young children. I have no interest in living next to a junkyard or, where there's trash. I have had 0 problems with any excessive trash or, signage issues or anything like that, and it's a pleasure to have them next door. That's all.
Any questions from the board? Thank you. The matter concerning hearing number 8184 is now closed and submitted. The board will proceed with this regular agenda. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie? Here. Director Rundy?
Here.
Director Hayes?
Here.
Director Roth?
Here.
Director Moore?
Here.
Director Gray is excused, and President Bradley?
Here we have a quorum. I'll call the meeting to order.
From the communications.
Thank you so much.
From communications, consideration and approval of building commissioner's recommendation to reject Excel Prison Health LLC's request for a permit and license to operate a halfway house at 2639 Miami. From the president, preliminary approval for letting number 8595 improvements to River de Pere Extension Park. Supplemental agreement number 7 to PSA number 1124, civil, structural, surveying, geotechnical services, cost estimating and drafting services, Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Supplemental agreement number 1 to PSA number 1131, design services for airfield projects, Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Supplemental agreement number 1 to PSA number 1166, partial condition assessment of the Water Division distribution system valves. Recommendation that Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission Transportation Alternatives Funds Program Agreement between the City of St. Louis and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for Washington Avenue from the front of Sheldon Concert Hall to Grand Boulevard be approved. From the President, Director of Public Utilities, Streets, Parks, Recreation, and Forestry. Joint recommendation that permit for a Great Rivers Greenway District for public improvements to River de Pere Greenway Phase 4 from Alabama to Mississippi. Existing sidewalks will be removed from both sides of the bridge. Barrier walls will be constructed on both sides of the trail, etc. Recommends approval subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Public Utilities and Public Safety, joint recommendation that the following permits be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. OW Partners to consolidate land at 4433 and 4436, Marcus 4710, Burchard and City Block 4403 AE. Reverend John Smikey to re-subdivide land at 2208 Benjamin, 2203 and 2207 through 09 Salisbury and City Block 1739. John Bailey to re-subdivide land at 5385 and 5389 through 91 Arsenal and 2922 Macklin in City Block 4067. St. Louis Development Corporation to subdivide land at 5 Branch Street in City Block 661E. From the Director of Streets, an affidavit for petition number 6813, Bourne's Jewish Hospital, St. Louis Children's Hospital, and the Washington University to vacate Parkview Place from Euclid to Kings Highway. Recommends approval. Recommendation that permit for Broadway Oyster Bar to encroach with a vestibule at doorway at 736 South Broadway be approved, subject to certain conditions.
We have no action today on the tabled item, so I would like to move to the first hearing, 8183, situation of 2 conditions in place. One condition of signage in place that is not permitted. The conditional use holder said they would be glad to work with the building division to get that resolved. And the second condition is a commercial dumpster that they have that is not fenced in and locked. And as you heard from the alderwoman, that it would not be conducive to have that in the alley. So I'd like to open the floor for discussion, please.
I have a question for legal counsel. If we wanted to, I mean, from the testimony, it sounds as though that the requirement on enclosing the dumpster is not practical under the circumstances. If we wanted to change that requirement, is that something that we would send back down to the building division with a recommendation, or what would be the procedural step to make sure it doesn't come up again if we feel as though the issue is well-founded as described in the testimony?
You guys have the authority today to amend the condition, since you initially vote to, you guys approved the permit at the beginning anyway, so you're the ones that kind of put the conditions on the permit, so you have the authority today to amend it.
All right.
So we can do that today if you like.
Right, and then on the issue on the signage, I mean, there was no dispute that the signage that is there is not permitted. Their counsel didn't claim that the permits had been secured, just represented that she would take steps to. So what would you leave, if the resolution was to amend the condition relating to enclosing the dumpster, and then leaving open the other issue and giving a 30 days, 60 days to get it remedied? Would that be the?
Yeah, that would be my recommendation for the motion if we're looking to give them more time on the sign issue. Yeah.
How much time would we ordinarily give someone to make something like that right?
You guys, I think typically 30 or 60 days. I mean, they could get it pretty quickly unless there's some random zoning issue where they'd have to go to the Board of Adjustment for the sign, but I don't know if that is, because in that case, that could kick it out at least another month if they have to go to Board of Adjustment. So 60 days probably just to be safe.
Okay, thank you.
I'd say, and I'm not making a motion, but my comment would be, and I can make the motion, if we're going to give them 60 days to get in compliance on the permits with the signage, I think it's a unique situation, the way the encroachment of the private owner was described. I think it warrants somebody not just looking at and it can be me or somebody in traffic or refuse, to actually go look at the site, look at the dumpster, instead of just basing it on a photograph and making that decision today, saying they're okay with not fencing it. So I think we should give them 60. I'll make a motion unless there's other discussion.
Any other comments before we get to a motion? Okay.
I just, before we make, let's just talk about you want to put it all on hold and take a second look on the dumpster issue. I think that we have enough. I just, for my own part, just looking at the pictures, to add a fence or that, when there's no complaints, and even, the alder person says nobody's complaining about the dumpster and, sort of other circumstantial issues, I just sort of wonder whether, an extra step, if circumstances changed and somebody wanted the condition to be put back for some reason, they could do that. But looking at the pictures, the idea of fencing that area with the other issues that were described about traffic and so forth, from just speaking for myself, I'm prepared to move ahead with eliminating the enclosure condition and just holding the one issue, but that's just me.
I disagree. I'm in alleys all the time, and forestry's in alleys every day. I don't know if you are, but I see these things, and I just want I can't even get a perspective of the size of the dumpster compared to, because it may be a moot point where you just say leave them alone, but I can't even tell the size of the dumpster compared to our regular alley containers that refuse empties. I don't see a problem with it. I agree with you in that probably will end up that way. I don't think a 5-minute visit is burdensome.
So if we do find, somebody does look and find an encroachment of the dumpster, what course of action do you think we should take?
I don't know what it would be till I look at it. I mean, maybe a fence in and of itself is going to be more of an impediment in the right of way anyway. I don't know until I saw it, or refuse saw it.
Right. The only other comment that, and again, the alderperson came today and spoke and said, the gentleman who lives adjacent to the business complains about the trash truck being there for the limited time that's there. And the point's well taken that if it's in an enclosure, the truck has to pull up. The gentleman would have to get out of the vehicle, open the gates, get back in the truck, go through the entire procedure, which would almost, in my mind, create a little more havoc than just allowing the truck to pick the trash up as it does today. So I just wonder if we're going to create a bigger problem a bigger neighborhood problem by trying to enforce this enclosure issue.
If you feel that, I can back down if you feel that strongly, but I don't, when people say there haven't been any complaints, the alderwoman may not have received them directly. The CSB will tell the story, right, and the zoning staff member would say if there's complaints or not just saying there haven't been any complaints.
I understand. I feel pretty strongly about that we should just, out of efficiency and based on the evidence. So maybe I could make my motion. If it fails, then we could take up Greg's motion. If
make a motion.
Right. I move to amend the conditional use permit to eliminate condition 2 as it concerns concealed trash dumpster and stay enforcement of the signage, giving the property owner 60 days to obtain correct permitting for those signs.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
What's the term if you're not in agreement?
You say nay.
Nay.
Director Roth.
Aye.
Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Gray is excused, and President Bradley.
Aye. Everyone voting aye except one nay. Motion passes. No revocation and an adjusted conditional use. Hearing number 8184, situation where we had 2 conditions that were in violation. One was signage, which has been rectified, and the other being not having a fenced-in trash dumpster, or for that matter, any trash dumpster on the premise, although the conditional use holders counsel, legal counsel, provided a document which states that the conditional use holder contracts with another address to utilize their trash dumpster, so I would assume it would fit the bill. I'll open the floor up for discussion.
Would, if we accepted the testimony of the opponents of the revocation, would the motion be to deny or to dismiss the proceeding?
Right, yeah, you would just vote to not revoke it and, yeah, to dismiss.
Okay. Thank you.
That's correct. And I would just like to state for the record, the council mentioned about other businesses and in the area and different things. And I think what we have to always concentrate on is that we're looking at this particular business at this particular time, just as other businesses are looked at other times. So because someone else does something inappropriate, I don't think that makes it correct for anyone else to do that. So just a point of order. Take a motion, please.
Move to deny the revocation and to dismiss the proceedings.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Roth.
Aye.
Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Gray is excused, and President Bradley.
Aye, not revoked. I'd like to turn your attention to our meeting minutes from our January 5th meeting last week. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
Motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Roth.
Aye.
Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Gray is excused, and President Bradley.
Aye, the minutes are approved. Today's agenda, are there any questions on the agenda, comments, corrections? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second, previous roll.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. There's been a call for the use of previous roll. Is there any objection to use of previous roll? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. Motion for adjournment, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.